Have you ever wondered why being chosen doesn't always feel like a blessing? People love the idea of being called for something greater, but what they rarely talk about is the weight that comes with it. When God sets you apart, you don't walk the same road as everyone else, and most of the time, that road feels lonelier than you ever imagined. Because when you're chosen, you don't get placed in the crowd where it's safe and comfortable. No, God pulls you out. He separates you, and that separation, it often feels like isolation, like rejection, like you'll never quite belong anywhere. But here's the truth. You were never meant to belong in the places you were called to lead. The burden of being chosen is heavy. It means you see what others cannot see. You hear whispers that others cannot hear. The fire inside your spirit pushes you toward a destiny that most people won't understand. You'll try to explain it, but to them, it's like you're speaking another language. You'll try to bring them along, but they'll refuse to follow. And that's where the pain cuts the deepest, because being chosen doesn't only separate you from the world. Sometimes it separates you from the people you love most. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've been in a crowded room and still felt like an outsider. You've laughed with friends and family, but deep down felt an emptiness no one else could fill. You've wrestled with questions. Why doesn't anyone understand me? Why do I feel like I don't belong? But here's the secret. Your loneliness isn't an accident. It's a signal, a sign that God is doing something inside you that He isn't doing in everyone else. When you are chosen, you cannot think, live, or move like everyone else. That's why you struggle to fit in. That's why you feel different. Not because something is wrong with you, but because something divine has been placed inside you. And that gift requires separation. It demands focus, discipline, obedience, and a release from the desperate need to be understood. Think about it. Moses was raised in Pharaoh's palace but was never truly one of them. Joseph was given dreams of greatness, only to be betrayed by his brothers. David was anointed king, yet sent back to the fields again and again. The pattern is always the same. Before the chosen step into destiny, they must first endure the breaking that comes with being set apart. And yes, that breaking hurts. It humbles you. It bends your knees in tears and prayer. But it's also necessary, because God strips away what cannot go with you, the temporary relationships, the habits that hold you back, the distractions that drown out His voice. And often, the only way He can do that is by pulling you away from everything and everyone you thought you needed. I know it's hard. I know there are nights when you cry out, "Why me, God? Why this heavy burden?" There are days when you whisper, "I'm not strong enough for this." But hear me. You are strong enough. You were built for this. If God called you, He has already given you the strength to carry it. Loneliness is not the end of your story, it's the beginning. It is the refining fire that sharpens your purpose. It's the sacred space where God speaks the loudest. It's the preparation ground for a destiny bigger than anything you can imagine. So don't fight it. Don't resist it. Embrace it. Because one day, when God says, "Now is the time," you'll look back and realize that what you thought was loneliness was never loneliness at all. It was God walking with you, shaping you, preparing you for the moment you would finally step into your calling. And yes, rejection will cut deep. It will make you question if you're worthy, if you're good enough, if the calling inside of you is real. You'll step out in faith expecting support. But instead, people will walk away. They'll turn their backs. They'll dismiss you. And that pain doesn't just bruise the heart, it shakes the soul. But listen closely. Rejection is not punishment. It is preparation. It is God setting you apart, redirecting you toward the purpose He designed for your life. Just look at Joseph again. If his brothers had embraced him, he would have never left home. He would have never been forced onto the path that led him to Egypt, to Pharaoh's palace, to the very position God had prepared all along. Rejection was the push that positioned him for destiny. And maybe the same is true for you. And so we continue. If rejection is part of being chosen, then we must learn not to fear it, but to embrace it. When you face rejection, don't waste your energy chasing after people who cannot see your value. Don't sit in the shadows, crying over doors that have closed, or wishing things had gone differently. Because if God allowed that door to shut, it's not by accident. It's His way of saying, "This path is not for you. I have something greater waiting ahead." You may not see it in this moment, You may not understand it right now, but if you keep walking, if you keep believing, you will one day look back and realize every rejection was actually a hidden blessing. Every no was simply a step toward a greater yes. Some of you are still holding tightly to the pain of rejection, and it's keeping you from stepping into what God has prepared. You're replaying the words that wounded you. You're thinking about the people who walked away, allowing their opinions to define your worth. But hear me clearly. Your value is not determined by those who rejected you. Your calling is not canceled just because someone didn't believe in you. If God Himself called you, that is all the confirmation you will ever need. No rejection, no dismissal, no closed door can override His plan. This is why you must shift your perspective. Instead of seeing rejection as loss, begin to see it as proof that God is moving in your life. He is shutting doors that need to be shut. He is removing people who cannot go where He is leading you. He is making sure that when you step into your destiny, you will be surrounded by the right people, in the right place, at the right time. Even Jesus Himself endured rejection. He was despised, mocked, ridiculed by the very ones He came to save. He was betrayed by those closest to Him. And yet, He never allowed their rejection to derail His mission. If the Son of God had to walk through rejection, why do we think we should be exempt? Why do we expect to always be embraced? Always be understood? The truth is simple. The greater the calling, the greater the rejection, the higher the purpose, the lonelier the road. But let me remind you, rejection is not the end of your story. It is part of the process. It is the shaping, the refining, the strengthening. Because when the moment finally comes for you to step into what God has prepared, you will look back and see that every rejection was actually God's hand protecting you, redirecting you, preparing you. You will see that He was in control all along, guiding your steps, positioning you for something far greater than you could have imagined. So the next time rejection comes, don't let it break you. Don't beg for acceptance from people who were never meant to walk with you. Instead, stand tall, lift your head high. Remember, you were never created to blend in. You were created to stand out. And God will use every rejection to push you closer to your purpose. Because here's the reality. Before God elevates you, He first allows you to be broken. And this breaking is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to strip away everything that cannot go with you into your next season. It is a breaking that humbles, that refines, that prepares. God never promotes without preparation. And preparation always carries pain. Many people think being chosen means living an easy life, free of hardship. But look closely at anyone God has ever used, and you will see the same pattern repeat itself. Before the elevation, there was isolation. Before the breakthrough, there was heartbreak. Before the crown, there was a crushing. And in that crushing, it feels like everything is falling apart. The very things you once leaned on start to crumble. The relationships you thought would last forever begin to fade. The prayers you believed were answered suddenly slip through your fingers. And in the middle of it, you find yourself crying out, God, why? Why me? Why now? But that's what it means to be chosen. You must walk through what others won't, because you are being prepared for what others cannot carry. When the calling on your life is high, God cannot afford to let you enter it unprepared. He cannot allow pride, bitterness, unforgiveness, or dependency on people to travel with you into your purpose. So He allows the breaking, not because He is cruel, but because He knows the weight of your destiny is too great for who you are right now. Look at David. He was anointed as king while still a young shepherd boy. The oil of destiny was already poured over him. But before he ever sat on a throne, he ran for his life. He hid in caves. He was betrayed by the very people he had once fought for. God had already chosen him. Yes, but David still needed the process. And the process was painful. Some of you are living in that very process right now. You're in the middle of the breaking, and you don't understand why. Doors keep slamming shut, relationships keep collapsing, opportunities keep slipping away, and you're asking God, why me? Why this? Why now? But here's the answer. Because He is shaping you into who you were always meant to be. Think about it. Gold is refined only in fire. Diamonds are formed only under pressure. Olive oil flows only when the olive is crushed. And what God has placed inside of you can only be revealed through the breaking. The dreams He's given you, the strength He's buried within you, The purpose He's planted in your soul, all of it must be drawn out. And that cannot happen in comfort. It cannot happen when life is easy. It happens when you are brought to your knees. When you have nothing left but God. When every earthly support fails and His word becomes your only anchor. You may not see it now, but one day you will. One day you will look back and thank Him for the breaking. You will realize that every tear, every heartbreak, every loss was not working against you, it was working for you. What you thought was rejection was actually protection. What you thought was suffering was preparation. What you thought was the end was, in truth, the very beginning of the person God was molding you to be. So don't resist the process. Don't rush the healing. Let God do what only He can do. So as we saw before, what feels like breaking, rejection, or isolation is never punishment. It is preparation. And now, the next step is this: letting God strip away everything that no longer serves you. Let Him remove the distractions, the attachments, the habits, and even the relationships that are holding you back from stepping fully into your calling. Yes, it will hurt. Yes, it will feel unfair at times. But when the process is finished, you will come out stronger, wiser, and unshakable. And when the moment arrives for God to lift you higher, you will be ready. When God sets you apart, it doesn't always come with flashing signs or dramatic announcements. He doesn't always reveal it with miracles that make the world stop and stare. Instead, His work is often quiet, almost invisible, yet far more powerful. He makes you different. And for a long time, you might not even understand it yourself. You just notice that you don't fit in. You can be in a room full of people and still feel like you're walking a completely different path. Opportunities may present themselves, but deep inside, something whispers, "This is not for you." Friendships may form, but many won't last. And eventually, you find yourself asking, "Why? Why don't I belong? Why does my journey feel so different from everyone else's?" The answer is simple. You were never meant to blend in. You were never meant to shrink into places where you do not belong. You were not created to mirror everyone else, because your calling is not like everyone else's. God has set something inside you apart for a purpose greater than you can see right now. And that kind of purpose demands a different path. It requires a process that most people will never understand. There is a weight that comes with being chosen, a loneliness that often walks side by side with purpose. And if you are not careful, you may start to resent the very thing that makes you unique. You may see your difference as a burden instead of a blessing. You may even begin to wonder, what's wrong with me? Why can't I think like others? Move like others? Settle like others? But hear this clearly. Being different is not a curse. It is proof that God's hand is on your life. It is evidence that He is calling you higher, preparing you for something greater, something that requires separation, something that requires you to be set apart. And this process? It is rarely easy. It means you will lose some people along the way. It means there will be seasons of isolation when it feels like no one understands you. It means you will walk through doors alone, relying only on the God who led you there to sustain you. It means making choices that don't make sense to anyone else, choices that require faith, sacrifice, and courage. Look at Moses. He was raised in Pharaoh's palace, surrounded by wealth, privilege, and power. Yet deep down, he knew he didn't belong. He could have stayed. He could have lived in comfort. But the call on his life was greater, and it pulled him away from the palace into the wilderness. There, in a place of isolation, where he had nothing but God, he was prepared for his true assignment. Some of you are in that wilderness right now. You feel separated from everything familiar, walking a lonely road, and it's tempting to believe you've missed the mark, to wonder if you've done something wrong. But I need you to hear me. This is not punishment. This is preparation. God has not forgotten you. He is setting you apart so that He can prepare you. He is teaching you to depend on Him, to trust Him when the way ahead is hidden, to walk by faith when sight is no longer enough. And when the time comes, when God finally reveals what He has been shaping you for, you will look back and realize every lonely season, every difficult decision, every moment you felt out of place was necessary. You will see that He was never ignoring you, never abandoning you. He was shaping you, protecting you, ensuring that when the moment of purpose arrived, you would be ready. But here's something else you need to understand. being chosen automatically makes you a target. The moment God places a calling on your life, the battle begins. And for many, that battle starts early. Some of you have been facing resistance for as long as you can remember. It feels like your life has been a battlefield from the very beginning. You've had to fight for peace, for purpose, even for the sense of belonging itself. It's not that you went looking for the fight came looking for you. And naturally, you've asked yourself, why me? Why does my life feel like a constant war while others walk an easier path? Why have I endured loss, betrayal, rejection, hardship, again and again? The answer is this. The very intensity of your battles is proof of the anointing on your life. The enemy does not waste his time attacking those who are no threat to him. He doesn't chase after people with no purpose, no calling, no destiny. He goes after the ones marked by God, the ones set apart for something greater. That's why the fight has been so fierce. That's why you've endured storms that should have destroyed you. That's why the enemy has tried to take you out again and again, because he sees what's inside of you, even when you can't see it yourself. Just look at Joseph. God gave him a dream, a vision of who he was destined to become. But before he ever reached the palace, he had to pass through the pit, betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, thrown into prison. From the outside, it looked like his life was collapsing piece by piece. But in reality, everything was falling into place, each setback positioning him closer to the destiny God had designed. And maybe that's true for you too. As we just saw through the story of Joseph, the betrayal, the losses, even the long nights in a prison cell were never meaningless. They were all part of a much greater plan that God had already designed. In the same way, every trial, every setback, every painful season in your life is not wasted. Each one has been positioning you for the very purpose God prepared long before you could see it. Right now, maybe you feel like you are in a pit, a dark, confusing place, and you don't understand why. You look back at your life, at the endless struggles, the relentless attacks, and you wonder, what does any of this mean? Why me? What you don't see is what's happening behind the scenes. There are things unfolding silently, invisibly, that you cannot yet perceive. Every battle you've fought has been training you for the future. The very things that were designed to break you have been building you. The struggles that were supposed to destroy you have actually been strengthening you. Here's the truth. God does not call the untested. He does not place great responsibility into the hands of those who are unprepared. That is why He allows the struggle, not to weaken you, but to equip you. That is why He allows the battle, not to defeat you, but to develop you. Because if you are going to carry the weight of the calling He has placed on your life, you must be strong enough to stand when the storm rages. You must be wise enough to discern truth when every voice around you confuses you. And you must be resilient enough to keep walking forward even when every part of you wants to quit. That is exactly why the enemy has fought you so hard. That is why the pressure has been so heavy. Because he knows the moment you step fully into who God has called you to be, the moment you recognize the authority and power placed within you, there will be nothing he can do to stop you. He may attack, but he cannot win. He may throw obstacles in your path, but he cannot remove what God has already ordained for your life. So don't let the battle make you bitter. Don't let the attacks make you doubt your worth. Understand this. Every fight, every challenge, every hardship is confirmation that you are walking in purpose. It is proof that you are not ordinary, that you have been set apart, and that heaven's hand rests upon your life. And when you finally come out on the other side, because you will come out, you will find yourself stronger, wiser, and more prepared than ever to receive everything God has promised you. So keep fighting, keep standing, even when your knees tremble, because victory has already been written with your name on it. When God places a calling on your life, He does not only prepare the path for you, He prepares you for the path. In the previous part, we discovered that every trial is not meant to destroy you, but to shape you and prepare you for the destiny God has set before you. Yet, preparation, have you noticed, is rarely easy, and almost never unfolds in the way we would have chosen for ourselves. Being chosen does not mean doors will always swing open effortlessly. It doesn't mean the path will always be smooth, or that people will always understand, support, or celebrate you. Sometimes being chosen means walking alone. Sometimes it means being rejected by the very ones you thought would stand by your side. And sometimes it means facing storms you never saw coming, fighting battles you never thought you'd have to fight. In those moments, it's natural to wonder, am I really called? If God has truly chosen me, shouldn't the road be smoother? Shouldn't people recognize my heart and stand with me? Shouldn't the opportunities align, the struggles ease, the burdens lift? But here's the truth. The struggle itself is evidence. The loneliness is part of the process. The breaking is the very making. Think about David. When the prophet anointed him king, he was just a young shepherd boy. He wasn't sitting on a throne. He wasn't living in a palace. And he wasn't even considered worthy by his own family. Yet after he was anointed, after he received confirmation that he was chosen, his life didn't get easier. It got harder. He found himself running for his life, hiding in caves, betrayed, misunderstood, facing giants, fighting battles he never expected. But through it all, every lonely night, every painful season, every uncertainty, God was shaping him into the king he was destined to be. And maybe that's where you are right now. You feel cast aside, overlooked, pressed down under the weight of life. You've been faithful, yet the doors haven't opened. You've been obedient, yet the path has been rough. And you're starting to wonder if you have the strength to keep going. But let me remind you, just because you don't see the promise yet doesn't mean it's not on its way. Just because you're in the wilderness doesn't mean you're on the wrong path. God is not punishing you. He is preparing you. In the silence, He is strengthening you. In the hidden place, He is shaping your character. When there is nothing left to hold on to, He is teaching you to trust Him alone. And when the time comes for you to step into what He has called you to do, you will not just be ready, you will be unshakable. Not everyone will understand that process. Some will question it, some will doubt it, some will even walk away because they cannot see what God has planted inside of you. But don't let their misunderstanding cause you to waver. Don't let their rejection make you question your identity. If people leave, let them go. If doors close, trust they were never meant for you. If the journey feels harder than you expected, know it's because what God is building in you is greater than you ever imagined. The chosen will always face the fiercest battles, will always carry the heaviest weight, but they will also walk in the greatest power. Because once you have been tested, once you have been refined by the fire, once you have walked through the valley and still held onto your faith, nothing can shake you. Nothing can break you. So don't let the process discourage you. Don't let the struggle blind you to the promise. Keep walking, keep trusting, keep believing, for what God has spoken over your life will not return void. And when the time comes, when the preparation is complete, when everything He has been shaping in you is ready, nothing in this world will be able to stop what He has ordained. Stay faithful, stay strong, because your time is coming.